Hey, what's up, blue collar business owner? Welcome back to the Blue Collar Prosperity Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Maska, where we focus on helping guide you to have a prosperous blue collar business. Today, we have with us Tom Casey. He's a third generation SOB, aka son of a boss, most awarded contractor in the country with more quality home comfort and design build awards than anyone. 2022 Contracting Hall of Fame, 2001 Residential Contractor of the Year. And now he is with Best Postcards. He's happily married for 25 years with 3 grown children and 1 grandchild on the way. So that is Tom Casey. Welcome, Tom. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. What is happening in your world?
Oh, just another day in paradise, my friend. It's good to be here.
Love it. I appreciate you coming on the show. Looking forward to the conversation and really learning more about what the Best Postcards is, marketing strategies, direct mail, all the things that you guys focus on there. So you've been in this world a long time. You've been in contracting a long time. How did your journey start, and how did that end get you to where you are today?
It's a great question. So I worked with my dad through summers and weekends and stuff like that when I was a teenager in high school kind of stuff. And I decided to take a year off between high school and college. And I like to joke, I'm still in my year off, 40 some years later. I just loved it. I love being in the trade. I love being in the truck. I love the customers, the whole vibe. I just found what I love to do. And so for, 40 plus years, I've been the luckiest SOB in the world doing what I love to do at my job. And so, yeah, it's growing up, but just digging the hell out of it when I did it full time for that first year.
That's awesome. I love it because I truly believe there's so many people that should just go into the trades out of college or out of high school. I mean, and not go to college, not get in all that debt because one, there's such a need, and two, there's so many people that that's what they were born to do. That's what they like doing. That's what their, skill sets are. Unfortunately, society tells a lot of people that's the wrong thing to do. So kudos to you for extending that 1 year break to 40 some years and continue to do what you're doing. So at the Best Postcards, the way we started working with you originally, so backstory on this real quick, with my electrical company that I used to own, the Best Postcards handled all of our direct mail. They did it phenomenally. Their customer service is second to none. Like, their response time is ridiculous and all the things they can do. So a lot of times people think direct mail is dead. Nobody checks their mail. No one, that doesn't work. What do you tell the naysayers about that? And what are some strategies that you guys deploy at the Best Postcards?
Well, I think if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And that's a lot of where the this doesn't work or that doesn't work or direct mail's dead, is because it's something that can't be sold by the person saying that. The stats and the data prove otherwise, that direct mail is very much alive and well. And it is not an end all be all strategy. And I think that's a mistake that gets made in a lot of marketing conversations. Like, you've got to go all in, all the chips on the table for one medium, radio or TV or billboards, or digital's the big one, right? Everyone's pushing all their chips to digital, which digital has to be part of the strategy, no question whatsoever. But marketing to me is an investment portfolio. And I have this conversation all the time with people in the trades, out of the trades, other business owners, other industries. If you look at your 401k, I bet you nobody listening or watching has like a single stock or a single sector in their 401k. They have diversified it. Why? To spread risk, to enhance the performance of their retirement account. And so I think marketing is a massive investment. I'm a contractor, you're a contractor. And so we spend a ton of money, like literally 7 figures on marketing. It's not a little bit of money. And so I want to get the maximum out of my marketing investment. So I'm going to use it as an investment. People talk about marketing spend, marketing budget. Oh, bullshit. It's marketing investment. And so direct mail is a strategy that's part of an investment portfolio. So depending on your portfolio, you might have more or less of a balance of how you stack media or digital or direct mail. But the thing about direct mail is this: in the noisy world of digital, which is an absolute essential necessity, did it, love it, have to be in it. direct mail has gotten less noisy because people are being told by these gurus direct mail is dead. And so direct mail has got less noise in the mailbox, and it's a physical thing they get to touch and possibly retain. And done correctly, it's repetitive and it stacks and it enhances other things. So would you rather have a digital search for a plumber near me, electrician near me, no AC, or would you rather have a digital search for your company name? So they're going to go to digital. Digital is like the toll booth on a highway. Whichever exit you're getting off of, you're going to pay the toll to get off that exit. Last click attribution, I think Google calls it. So yes, you have to be digital. You have to be strong. You have to be there. You have to have a converting website. You have to have all the right things. No question. But what gets them there? I would rather be somebody searching for my company's name, my brand, be branded in their mind, who they think of first and trust the most when they need something, than just be at the whim of what am I bidding for clicks or what am I throwing at it. So direct mail to me allows me to show personality, allows me to build trust, allows me to create visual impact at the mailbox. And if done correctly, it's entertaining, and entertainment is like that currency that buys a couple of seconds of attention. And with the right offers, it gets retention. So if you have evergreen offers or things, the likelihood that somebody receives a piece of mail the day they have a plumbing problem is very slim, right?
Very slim.
If we're there and we're having messaging and we're being serving, and there's an offer that's, hey, we hope you don't have a plumbing problem, but when you do, we're going to do this for you. That one gets saved by the right people, and then they call or they go online and schedule an appointment. So direct mail to me is definitely not dead. And here's the evidence. Digital companies advertise in direct mail. Are the politicians in all this election cycle going to not mail anybody? Your mailbox is going to be full of political things. Mail is alive and well, without a doubt.
That's awesome. And you provided a ton of, real key takeaways there. One, it's got to be repetitive, it's got to be entertaining, and it's got to be branded. So that, like you said, when we see a plumbing van going down the road, it's not like, oh, I need a plumber because my toilet's leaking. Like when your toilet leaks, you're thinking, what plumber do I call? And if you're getting that repetitive entertainment branded visual in your mail, it's like, oh yeah, I see Tom's postcard every month. I'm going to call those guys.
Yep.
So diving into the repetitive a little bit, I've heard plenty of people, you've heard way more than I have, of like, well, tried it once, sent everything out, nobody called. What is your definition of repetitive? What does that strategy kind of look like for a direct mail standpoint?
So another great question in a conversation we have all the time is, I did direct mail, I sent out a tune-up card and it didn't work. Interesting. Did you ever buy anything because somebody sent one piece of mail or ran one radio ad or branded one truck in their fleet and didn't wrap any of the others, right? That's not how it works. So it's an unexpected, unfair expectation of things. I think this is a thought process of hunting versus farming a little bit, right? If you go out and hunt every day and you make the kill and you bring back food for the village to eat, they feast, and then you got to go back out and hunt tomorrow because that only lasts as long as it lasts. Farming is harder, but it's sustainable. I plant, I water, I weed, I fertilize, I harvest, and then I repeat. And so mail is that. Mail is not the only thing that's that, but any long-term branding strategy is more of a farming approach than a get-rich-quick scheme. And we're going to get you a bunch of clicks, we're going to get a bunch of whatever. I usually tell people that you can't really expect results in less than 6 months. Now you get them, but if you want to see the crops mature, you got to mail 6 times. And mail is super effective and super cheap for what it is. But if you're going to mail, like I mail tune-up cards twice a year, I'm going to say mail your customers, but don't burn your money. Mailing just like twice a year, you're just like a blip, not even a blip on the screen of people who are actually marketing and actually burning. you said something key there too. To reinforce the brand image and stack the branding of what is the truck, what is the digital, what is everything else, what is the mail. You want to keep increasing the overall frequency. Each media has frequency. Radio lives on a frequency, right? You've got to have a lot of frequency. TV lives on a frequency. Billboard is frequency. Digital, not so much because they're going there on an as-needed basis, kind of a la carte. Mail is frequency. So if you stack whatever else you're doing, your truck's rolling around town, we see you everywhere, job signs, whatever, and then mail in the mailbox, frequency helps enforce the brand and build the trust you're looking to get.
That's awesome. And as far as what's on those postcards, obviously you said it's got to be entertaining, it's got to grab their attention, your branding's got to stick out. You talked about tune up a little bit, but what are some of the offers? Because a lot of times, different business owners might be thinking, oh, that doesn't work, or this might, I don't know about this. You guys do this every day. You track things, you've got data. What are some of like the offers that you see gets the most results in that long-term, play?
Another great question. What I would say about any type of media, including mail, is don't blame the media for bad strategy. So what the biggest temptation when I look at campaigns or past campaigns, and someone says, oh, direct mail didn't work, I'm like, well, show me your campaigns, show me what you did, is everyone tries to sell everything in one card. And so that does not work. Having an offer for everything under the sun and trying to have a bunch of coupons and talk about all irrelevant things, the card needs to be brief. It needs to have a single focus point. So a headline should be telling about what we're going to offer or what we're going to talk about or what we're going to emphasize. Don't have cute headlines or clever headlines that no one can figure out. You have this great idea and you're like, oh, this is a really cool thing back at the office and everyone loves it. Well, you're in the business and you understand the inside joke. The people getting the card don't. Sometimes the best way to sell a horse is a sign that says horse for sale, right? You can't get all fancy. And so the same applies with offers. So we're in a repair economy right now. I think everyone would solidly say that, like credit declines are on the rise, prices are on the rise. Inflation could be argued by whichever side of the aisle you're on is on the rise. We have the equipment cliff in the HVAC industry and somewhat the plumbing industry where stuff was replaced before, ahead of time a little bit during COVID. And so now there's like a gap here. So people want to fix things, especially heading into this election cycle. People are like, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I don't want to spend my money. So the messaging, if that's the way people are thinking about repair, the offers and the headlines need to get into the head about what is already the conversation happening in the customer or the prospect's mind. So if I don't want to replace AC and all you're doing is telling me about no payments and affordability and get it while it lasts and like all this stuff, I don't want to buy AC. So my brain immediately cuts that one out, right? The brain's main job is to protect us from harm. Back in the day, like, don't get eaten by a dinosaur or a mountain lion or something. Now it's like, don't get scammed by these bogus offers. And so if we're just talking about things that are irrelevant and don't mean anything to the customer, it's like the Charlie Brown Peanuts teacher talking, right? Wah, 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 wah. That gets tossed away. That doesn't get clicked on. That gets ignored. How many times you drive by billboards, you drive the route to work, you don't even know what the hell they say, because they're not relevant to what the conversation is in your head. So the offers in service times are things like speed to lead. How fast can you get here? So really doubling down. This is one of my favorite offers because it costs zero money to give. You're not like $100 off or expert. It's same day service guaranteed, period. So a fast pass. How quickly can we get here? Speed to lead is huge. Other things that you can offer are things like guarantees. Like if we can't fix it on the first visit, the service call is free. Other offers that have worked really well is like buy one, get one service calls. Buy this service call, your next service call is free. So kind of like the idea of I pay for a customer to acquire them, they pay me for my service fee, and then I give them the next service fee free. Oh, you're giving it away for free, but I don't have to reacquire them. Now they're going to save that. and they're going to then call me the next time they need one of my services. And then if we are going to offer something in the repair economy, $25 off any repair, or $50 off any repair, that type of a thing, that is evergreen, right? So any service, and don't, like, I know a lot of people are like, well, you got to have urgency, put an expiration date on it. When you have an evergreen offer, don't put expiration dates on it. If I'm going to give you $25 off any repair, it's any repair, because keep in mind, you don't need it this month or today. You might need it in 6 weeks. And I don't want to be like, oh, that one's no good, or have the conversation of when did it expire? Like, remove all the friction. So get in that mind of the customer. So fast pass, same day guarantees, crazy warranties, like guarantee your repairs for 5 years or 10 years. As you know what I mean? Like, repaired once and done. On the plumbing side, we have good offers like 123 or free for drain clearing. If we can't clear your drain and restore flow for $123, you don't pay. Now someone with a drain problem knows, hey, I know the dollar amount I'm going to pay, and if it doesn't work, I have no risks. On offers like that for plumbing, you can do stuff like free camera. A lot of people charge for the camera. It's kind of a little bit bait and switchy potentially. I'm not saying it's wrong depending on the business, but imagine if 123 is free, clear any drain guaranteed, or you don't pay, and then we give a free diagnostic camera on mainline clogs. That gets us in the house. Everyone else is selling the camera. You're not. We don't want to sell the camera. You want to sell the sewer replacement. There's all sorts of things like that are what I call low cost, no cost offers. We did a promo for some customers in the spring, which was BOFO. We created this term BOFO, buy one, flush one. So buy a AC tune-up and we'll flush your water heater for free. That was great for companies that had dual services. What was the cost? Okay, I'm going to be there for an hour and 15, hour and a half anyways, cleaning the AC. If I set up the water heater flush and it's running, instead of me just sitting there and watching it, I'm creating massive value, a service they need to have, an additional service for my company. Now I'm on the plumbing side as well as the air side. And was it cost like $20 of chemicals? So it's an acquisition play that just differentiates. Is that making sense? Like, these offers that are just like, people don't. Here's what I always tell people. It's kind of crazy. Tell me if this is true for you. If I said to you, Paul, here's a $1,200 instant rebate off of a new air conditioner, or I said, here's a $5 coupon off your favorite pizza place, which one are you probably hanging on your fridge?
I'm going to hang the pizza place because I'll probably use it within the next 7
For
days.
$5, because you're going to use it. What good is an offer that no one will use? That's the thinking. Like, what is the mindset of the customer? And that really has to go back to like what's being said in the call center. What are our technicians feeding back? What are our comfort advisors and salespeople telling us about? We need to make real offers about what's in the customer's interest, not what we need. Big request right now is we need more installation leads. Well, you're not going to get them. No one wants to install. But if you get on more service calls, guess what happens? You get more install opportunities.
For sure. And a lot of great different, options, opportunities out there. A couple of things that I made note of is like you said, don't let the dollar amount expire, because when they get that, they don't need a plumber that day.
Right.
If they need it next month and you say it expires at the end of the month, now they're going to be mad at you. They're going to call your call center and be like, hey, I got this coupon. Oh, it expired June 30th. Now they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to call somebody else.
Right.
And then when you have dual services, a lot of times, I mean, we're in it every day, so we don't realize, but a lot of times customers don't know you offer other services.
You don't.
So you went there for HVAC. They're like, oh, you can flush my water heater and it's included. Cool. Not you offer plumbing. I didn't even know that. Now I know I can call one number for two services, and you really just cut that acquisition cost in half because you have two separate business units. So that's phenomenal. So Tom, someone's probably listening. It's like, this is great. How do you recommend kind of quarterbacking this whole thing between managing digital and managing postcards and managing, billboards and radio and like, there's a lot of things going on in this investment portfolio of marketing.
Yeah.
How do you recommend somebody listening, like, okay, this makes total sense. Who's going to be my advisor? to do all this because I don't have time to do all this, right? Like same thing on investment. Like I don't have time to go pick all these investments. I'm not keeping track of the market. I'm just going to hire a financial advisor. That's what they do every day. How does a business owner, CEO, general manager quarterback all these things so they are in sync and they're working properly?
Well, in theory, just like an investment advisor, you're on the right track. You would have a marketing company. The trick with the marketing companies are a lot of them have ulterior motives and like behind the scenes partnerships, and they're not always acting in the best interest of the client. Or the other thing I've seen a lot with marketing agencies is they also have one kind of bias, right? We all have biases, and every market's different. So if I had a company in Connecticut, a company in South Carolina, and a company in Florida, and there were three different marketing strategies based on where they were and the clients and things. If I was saying I'm going to do the same thing in all three places, I would have probably diminished results in all three places. So if there's the ability to do it somewhat in-house, that's what I did primarily. I hired a marketing coordinator, not a marketing manager. I hired somebody who could work as my assistant, who could manage social media, could interact with the radio station and the radio buyers, interact with best postcards on direct mail. Also, they were the community liaison. They went to all the chamber events and all the community events and did all the trade shows and everything. And for less money than you think, you just need a really organized, creative, smart person. And over time, they learn what you're thinking. And the vendors, like I would have a meeting, we would have once a month a meeting with all my vendors on the call. Best postcards be on the call, the digital people, everyone would be there, and we'd be like, let's talk about what's going on, let's talk about our results, and let's talk about what we're going to do moving forward. And then my person, she would take the lead, and then I would check with her once a week and be like, okay, where do we stand on this? How are we executing that? And I would be on that call most months to talk about what the overall plan was. The start of that, though, even getting before that concept, is knowing your budget. I think a lot of people don't know their marketing budgets. They're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They like chase shiny objects. So if you don't want to do it in-house, then you find an agency, and there are some good ones around, which, somebody direct messages me, I'll be happy to, share maybe some people they can talk to. But I'm always very leery. One of the places that is like a double-edged sword, and I say this with the most respect, and they've served me beyond belief in my career for sure, is professional organizations. Professional organizations are a good place to start, but generally they don't have that entrepreneurial experience. And so it's hard for them to keep up with the fluidity of marketing in the market, because they're kind of have to be very conservative in their approach. So great organizations might have marketing people, but I wouldn't put my marketing portfolio, in their control. Marketing agencies, a lot of them have popped up. I think you got to vet them. You got to look. The biggest trap with a marketing agency is this: don't subrogate your responsibilities. Like, I don't want to deal with it, so I'm going to hire XYZ, because you don't know if XYZ is going to spend your money right. Again, you wouldn't do that with your retirement account. It's too much crap, I'm just going to let so-and-so do it. So an agency or an internal person, I think as you grow a business, in the beginning stages, you need to do it internally because of budget. Then you have a little more budget. You start to be, do I hire an agency or do I do it internally still? But at some point when you grow further, I have agency and I still do a lot of things internally, because I want to have more direct control of how the strategy's integrating all the way up and down the line. And that's the key to me. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. And I think it's kind of the business owner's trap of a lot of things. Of when you ask them, how's your marketing? I don't know. My marketing agency handles that. How's your finances? I don't know. I got a bookkeeper and accountant, and they handle that. Like, they just push it off because they don't want to deal with it, but there is no systems, processes, oversight, accountability to make sure, to your point, this is an investment. Are we getting a return on this investment? Or are we just auto debiting this person? They're auto debiting us every month, and we know they're handling it, and we move on to the next thing. So on that note, you mentioned marketing budget. Now, obviously, everybody has different goals, visions, budgets, where they want to go, what's their return, and a lot of that drives, what's your average ticket, what's your call booking rate, all that. But from like the most successful companies that you work with, what's a healthy budget that you've seen, and how is that diversified amongst all these other, all these different avenues.
Man, you get all the right questions today. It's like we conspired ahead of time, even though we didn't. So the rule of thumb would be 8 to 10% is like an average marketing budget. Now, if you're more aggressive for growth, you'll be hitting that up to like 12+% to like go into a new area, evergreen it, or just really expand rapidly. You know, get that 12 to 14%, but that's hard to sustain with margins over the long term. And if you're at a point where like, hey, we're kind of where we want to be, we want to grow a little bit less aggressively, you could be like that 6 to 8%. And if you're like in that, I just want to maintain. I don't want to grow, but I don't want to lose. Because if you don't market, you will lose because somebody will market to your people and take them. You're in like that 4 to 6 range. So the sweet spot in there, you say between 4 and 14, somewhere in that 8, 9% market. People like 10% because it's easy for them to do math in their head. I'm a $3 million contractor, 10% is $300,000. I'm a $10 million contractor, 10% is $1 million. And now marketing, you got a lot of things in that bucket. So you said, how do you divide it up? Generally, you're going to divide typically like a third is sometimes a good way. It depends on the size of the company. So I'll say for like a mid-sized company, a third of it's going to go digital, a third of it's going to go media, like radio type stuff, and a third of it's going to go to direct mail. And it's all types of digital and all types of media and all types of direct mail. So it's not just like postcards, you know, it could be door hangers and radius mailers and client mailers and thank you cards. That's all direct mail. And digital could be social media, paid, CEO, or not CEO, SEO. All that stuff is digital. It shifts around a little bit here and there. But I think the mistake is, again, if somebody over leverages into one media is a problem. Now, if there's smaller companies, usually the media goes away, like they can't afford radio. Because radio, if you're going to do it, you need to have the right budget, you need to have the right frequency, or don't waste your money. If you're going to run radio ads like a month and then they'll do it, you're burning your money. Go down the street, roll anyone do and throw $4,000 or $5,000 out the window. You're just as good as spent. Just put your business cards on the money, so when people pick it up, they'll be like happy and they'll remember that you gave them the $100 bills you threw out the window. So if you're smaller size, you might be between digital and mail. But digital there, again, paid search is an essential part of things, but it could totally eat your budget in a second. I need more leads, spend more, spend more, spend more. It's easier than farming and going, I want to rank on maps. I want to rank on SEO. How do I get better LSA? How do I do all these things which are work? Now, again, to pay an agency to do that is very expensive. To have a person who's building internally and learning and growing internally makes more sense. Social media on the smaller companies is amazing. We've got one of our clients in Best Postcards launched a company in the spring, and even though we don't do digital media, like I'll help people. My role at Best Postcards is to get on with any customer and talk about any topic whatsoever, not just marketing and not just postcards for sure. I can talk about budgets, payroll, HR. You know, I have a guy I'm talking to now about how to set up his building in an LLC. That's what my role at Best Postcards, support Best Postcards customers in whatever they need. So I'm having a lot of these conversations. So I'm talking to this guy. I'm like, you're new to this area. Go big on social media. Like, he's putting very personable posts out every job, every day. And he's already hired 2 new team members in the first 90 days. And he's growing very quickly. You know, he'll probably do first year from a dead stop doing nothing with a very minimal marketing budget, like $1 million. But he's using social media and direct mail. He has a website, but he really can't afford a ton of pay-per-click. And he can't certainly afford radio and things like that. So there's a mix that's depending. And I think that's where these conversations have to happen with, like, you know, somebody like me or an agency or whatever, to say, well, tell me more about it. And Postcards does a lot. Best Postcards does not just HVAC. We do a ton of we do all sorts of industries. So like, I'm having conversations with painters and roofers and all these guys, and everyone has the same problem, Paul. And no one is like, this isn't an HVAC problem or a plumbing problem. This is a marketing problem. And, you know, how do we become memorable? How do we become a purple unicorn is how we say it. How are we the guy that stands out and that's going to be, you know, a little bit of mix in there of definitely media. Some things work in some places and not others. Like there are places where postcards don't work. Like Las Vegas is a market that's very difficult for postcards. It's just something about that market is better suited sometimes for digital. There's other places where digital is less performant. There's places where still use yellow pages. I mean, it really does depend on the market. And the one thing I will tell you about that marketing budget, though, which is really interesting, one of the things people say is like, how do I measure the return on investment of my job sign or my Facebook ad or my whatever? Now, digital provides, I spent this much money, I got this many things, what revenue came off of it. But is it really digital that did all that? Digital was the closer and the converter, no question. The toll booth, right? But what went into that click or that form or that whatever? It was the overall total branding. So my recommendation is you set your budget and you don't worry about a million tracking numbers. Digitally, it's fine. You want to see which pages, but you don't put a tracking number on a billboard. You don't put a tracking number on the truck. You don't put a tracking number on everything you produce. You know, a job sign. It's too many tracking numbers, and you're assuming the customer is going to like call that number necessarily. What they're going to do, they're smart people. They're going to go to their phone and they're going to look them up. So what does that tracking number provide? If you look at the stats, like that come through CRM or whatever, and it says, oh, Google is killing it. But then you listen to the phone calls, they say, I got your postcard. I got your radius card. I saw your job sign. I saw your van in my neighborhood. They say a lot of other things, but they call the digital number to get you. So spend your total budget, knowing your total number of leads. And if you're within budget and you have your leads, don't overthink. Sometimes you throw things out because you're like, oh, this coupon magazine's not giving me an ROI. Then you throw it out and you realize, oh crap, I have less phone calls. They weren't calling that number. They were calling the number on their phone that they got on Google. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. I mean, and it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning is the branding, the consistency, the repetition, all of that's so important because in a demand industry of plumbing, HVAC, really any home service, they're not sitting in a stoplight being like, oh, I need an HVAC, or like they're not going to the mailbox being like, man, I hope there's a plumbing postcard in there because I really need a plumber. Like they're going to go and like, I always equate it to like, if I ask my 8-year-old daughter, like, who should we call for X, Y, and Z? They'd be like, oh, this company. Cause I see their vans. I hear them on TV. We see their mail. We see their yard signs. And it's like, they pick it up. They're not being like, oh, and what was the phone number on that yard sign? No, they're just going to go to Google and be like, look up whatever business it was, call that number. And the number came through Google. So that's all super great, super relevant, and helpful information. And kind of wrapping all of this up, we've talked about a lot of different things. We don't want to overwhelm our listeners because there is a ton of stuff they can do. What is one thing that you would recommend the listener today to do within the next 24 hours to start moving their business a little bit more forward?
All right. This has got to have like a Surgeon General's warning or something on what I'm going to say.
Perfect. It's on there.
So
it's done.
Everyone's been warned. Here's what you got to do. You got to go sit in your call center and just listen. Wherever, if you have a call center, you have a dispatcher answers, whoever answers your phones that are incoming calls, go sit and listen. Call centers and call takers waste more marketing dollars than bad marketing ever will. Call centers and call takers waste more marketing dollars than bad marketing ever will. Not intentionally. Why does it matter? Everybody needs more leads, but budgets are tighter and tighter and tighter. Blowing opportunities that you've already paid to generate kills profitability, kills it, drains it off immediately. So, backstory. What are the call takers saying? Do you have scripts? Are they following them? Most common answer, no and no. What are the callers asking? What is the person on the other end of the phone saying? And what is the answer that we're providing? Is that answer enhancing or confusing the question? Is it helpful or is it creating friction and hurdles? Why aren't calls booking? If you could understand why the phone rang 30 times today and we only booked 10 people, that's 20 people we didn't book. Well, they're not all appointments. Well, why do we have 20 people calling us who are blocking our ability to talk to customers? You got to find out why they're not booking. Optimize the top of the funnel, book more calls, increase sales, make more money. But start by going into that call center and listening. If you have a CRM, listen to calls. But it's not for the faint of heart. Business owner is going to be really disgruntled and probably sick to their stomach with what they're hearing. I sometimes, say when people are talking about, we got, 373 calls, we only booked 27 appointments. Can I go in and listen to your calls? And I'm like, oh my God. It's just, that is the first actual action that the customer is taking to call in and talk to somebody. And I always say this, the person calling most likely is having an oh shit day, right? No one got up this morning and said, I hope the toilet doesn't flush, or I hope I can take a really freezing cold shower before I go to work, or I hope I come home to no AC. When they're on that phone, they are at like the most frantic moment. And are our call takers empathetic? Are our questions we're asking moving them forward? So sometimes the scripts are just terrible, Paul. Like, how big is the house? How many bedroom? What style is it? What's the crossroads? Like, dude, here's what I took away when I do this. And I used to do it all, like go and do it on a monthly basis. And oh, by the way, then I had my marketing coordinator listening to all the calls to find out. So our marketing, what are they calling about? What offers, what headlines, what medium, what questions they're asking. The number one questions that get asked, and I will bet across any platform, any trade, is how much do you charge for X? When can you get somebody here? Or the other version of that is, can I get someone come out today? So if that is fully 80% of the questions, how much do you charge and how fast? Then we have to focus on how do we answer that. I will bet most of the listeners, 2/3 of the listeners on this call, there was some social media activity recently where people were like, they want the price over the phone and we can't build value over the phone. If you're asked a price question and you answer it with anything other than a price or a number, you just lost trust in this world. You just lost trust in this world. I just finished an article for Contracting Business Magazine about selling to the 5 generations. And transparency, especially with Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, they don't want no fluff. They will buy, they will call. But why the intention, the feeling is, if you won't tell me how much it costs for a service call, you won't tell me how much, whatever, what are you hiding? They don't trust. And then how fast? You need a system to prioritize calls. So we had a level system 1, 2, 3, 4. Level 4 was the most opportunity call, and we guaranteed our CSRs could say next available tech, no matter what, and we would run that call today, no matter what, 7 days a week, because that was the most money. It might mean reschedule 1, level 2 calls, and we would incentivize those people like, hey, we're so sorry, but we have this family with no AC, and yours is gonna, maintenance or whatever. We're gonna give you $25 off or something. But what is being asked and how are you answering it? And not all the cryptic, we don't know. Like, you're a pro, man. This is your business. This is your trade. And by the way, most of us, if we call to ask any person, we don't like as contractors for people to get bids or to ask about price or any of that stuff, right? We hate it. But what are we the freaking best at as contractors? Pricing, shopping around, asking for prices, getting bids. Does anyone buy a pallet of refrigerant without bidding it out? Bullshit. Does anyone just say, I'm an XYZ dealer, I don't care what the price of equipment is? Bullshit. So why is it okay for us to do it and not the customer to do it? As soon as we kind of get into that customer journey, and it starts on that phone call, starts in that call center, then we understand better and we can just change things out. For example, I told you, we evolved to telling people the price. How much do you guys charge for a water heater? Well, the most we've ever done is about $6,500, but most run between $1,200 and $1,500. We'd be happy to send somebody out there to take a look if you'd like. at least they got an answer. I didn't say it's $1,243, but those are the types of things you have to be ready. What? Well, I know I need Freon every year. How much do you charge? Well, typically the charger system is anywhere from 650 to 350. You're probably gonna be somewhere in the middle. And I've got availability today. Tell me a little more what's going on. Like they at least know our range. If it's like, well, we have to get a technician out there, he doesn't know. What are they doing in their mind? Is like ratcheting up that price super high. Like this is gonna. But if you're like, it's gonna be, most. What do you guys charge for a service call? Does any electrician, plumber, AC guy, whatever trade, not know their average service call? It's one of the KPIs for Christ's sakes. Average ticket. So just say, listen, the average service call runs between 375 and 475. Some are less, some are more, but that's a range. The customer goes, okay, this company's not trying to hide it. That's the type of stuff you want to find out. So the one thing, go sit in that call center, listen, and be prepared to take action. And Paul, you said in 24 hours, do you sit in that call center? If you go here right now, after you hear this podcast, in the next hour, you could be making adjustments. And so like what I did was I was looking at our phone calls. So the other thing that is kind of maybe a little hack with the call center, I went to the phone provider and said, how many total phone calls come in my company? Not the way that like some CRMs look with the call center can like classify them. That is okay too. But I want to know the total number of rings, like how many did we miss? How many did we answer? How long were we on? And so if I saw the total calls, and our calls, I'm going from memory here, last report, we running like 250 to 300 calls a day. It's a lot of calls. And I'm like, why are we only booking, 65 appointments or whatever? Like it's a third we're booking. Like what the hell's happening here? We found our raw booking rate of unfiltered calls. If we were at 35%, that was our optimal number. Now people are like, we close 80%. I bet you don't close 80% of all the phone calls coming in the building. What we learned from that was how many vendors are tying up our call center? How many solicitors are tying up our call center? How many calls were we missing because we're on unproductive calls? That helped us change our strategy a little bit. But then I just would sit in there. So I'm like, we got these calls up. We're the market. Why aren't we booking more appointments? And I went in there, and the first time, okay, well, get back to us. I heard one of the CSRs say that. So I was like, what happened on that call? And it was a price question. And then inside of an hour, like, okay, well, let us know what happened. They want it there today. What'd you tell them? Well, I don't know. What do you mean we don't know? How, there's things we got to know. And that changed the game so radically. So this could, and I think be careful. Don't let the fox guard the hen house. The call center manager, awesome, need them, valuable, super important people. But do they have the thick skin to say we're doing a poor job and here's what we need to improve? A little bit of cross auditing is important. And as the owner, you said it earlier, whether you're a small business or a large business or in between, the owner shouldn't be, unless they're just brand new, starting up, turning wrenches, the owner shouldn't be doing any of these jobs. They should be coaching the people doing the jobs. And so if you just made a decision to go in the call center once a week and everyone knew you were coming and you were going to listen for scripts and help them solve problems and even like put them on hold. When the next person calls up and asks about price, put them on hold. I'll take them. That's what I did. And I was like, so what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And what we had built was a guide of like, what do we charge for basic things they're asking? Here's the top 10 things they're asking for. What do we charge for? Let's just put it out there. Most jobs cost us much money. That will change your call center. You do the same thing for sales. You do the same thing for tech. You do the same thing for accounting. Your business will boom because you're not in the weeds. You're the one coaching all these people who have expertise.
There you have it, y'all. Go in the call center. I highly recommend that. I would also highly recommend you like put duct tape on your mouth and send in your hands because you're going to want to take over. So it's similar to a ride along. You just kind of got to watch it unfold, take good notes, take good information, and then start to change that thing. And a couple of things that Tom had mentioned. I recommend a book called They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. He talks about being transparent with price so much. We've done that, in our organizations where we know what the average price is to do X, Y, and Z because we have all the data. So we can give that range. We can tell them what our average is. You can write a blog post on it, and it gets a ton of traffic because people are Googling how much does it cost to replace a water heater, or how much does it cost to do all these. We have that data, so let's give it to them. And like Tom said, you guys are the professionals. One last thing to take away on that is having call levels is so important. So if you have a matrix that determines what the call level is, whether it's, if you're in the HVAC world, it's no AC, that's a level 4, whatever your levels are. That's the top level we got to get out there today. You can also base it on age of home. So that way, from a safety standpoint of like, we really got to get out there today. But having those call levels will empower your call takers to be like, yep, we can get out there today. They don't have to, oh, let me check with somebody, or my dispatcher's busy. Right. Can we call you back? They know, book the call. We'll be out there. We'll keep you updated and we'll get you taken care of. So a ton of great advice in the next 24 hours, in the next hour, if you're listening to his business hours. Go listen in on your call center so you can start maximizing every lead instead of trying to get more leads. Tom Casey, you're the man. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your journey, and providing a ton of actionable advice for all the blue-collar business owners out there as we continue on this journey to prosperity, making more money, having better cash flow, building a profitable business. Before we sign off and say goodbye, where can listeners go to keep in touch with you and learn about all the things you're working on?
Good thing is Facebook. You can look up the best postcards on Facebook. You can look up Tom Casey. You can connect with me, direct message there. I'll give my email. If someone wants to email me a question, I pay it forward. This trade's been amazing to me and my family. It's tc@tomfromflorida.com. Florida is spelled out. So tc@tomfromflorida.com. I promise I will get back to you. And if I'm not the right person, I will connect you. And if the best postcards is not the right resource, not likely, but if we're not, we will also connect you. We're all about like raising a high tide, raising all boats in the industry. So happy to help. That's what I am focusing on now, paying it forward to everybody.
You're a good man, Tom. Really appreciate the time, y'all. Go connect with Tom Casey, the best postcards. You definitely won't regret it. I think, me personally, one of the best things the best postcards does is they have people like Tom who provide other insights, other guidance, other strategies than just postcards because, like you said, he's had so much time in the industry and wants to pay it back. Tom, thanks again for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Hey, enjoyed it. Have a good one.
And before you head out, if you are ready to have a business that produces consistent positive cash flow so that you can have a financially healthy business and achieve your personal goals, let's make it happen. Head on over to thebluecollaradvisors.com/call to book a free financial assessment of your business. I will dive into the financials of your business, take a look at what's going on, find any red flags as well as opportunities that you have in your business. Let's make it happen. Again, thebluecollaradvisors.com/call. Until next time, remember, what got you here won't get you there. If you're ready for different results, it's time to start doing things differently.